Time for a good old-fashioned hump day, leg day, which is actually not a movement you're going to see me do. Glutes, don't need more glutes. You know, it's going to be a very rare sight if I ever say, all right, guys, we're going to do 4 sets of hip thrusts for 12 reps, just about a failure. No. What I want to work on for me is more so the tree trunk, if you kind of catch my drift, right? That sort of thigh area, front to back, side to side, quad and hamstring, right? That's what I want to bias. When it comes to what I imagine myself in the future, and I'm thinking like, okay, how do I want my legs to change? I want my legs thicker, right? I want it to be like an illusion that my legs have gotten larger, and it makes my midsection and waist slash, what would you call that measurement, right? You got waist, would that be hips? What do we say, hip measurement for how big your butt is? You wouldn't say bust, that's more, whatever. I want thicker legs, you know, so my leg days are going to comprise of basically glutes down, or just up to the glutes down. So quads, hamstrings, adductors, the works, you know, because for me, that's what needs the most work. And I mean, if you squat decently heavy as a guy, I think your glutes get enough work from that they don't really need much more direct work, right? I'm not you, obviously do whatever kind of training you think is best, but I think that, you know, when it comes to your leg days, at least as a dude, this is not referencing the 4% female viewers. Obviously, you've got a bit of a different end goal. But for us, dude, I think squats, hamstring curls, RDLs, you're cool. All right, so the plan for today, probably a little bit quad focused, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to just do quads only or hamstrings only, or at least I'm not going into the gym with that in mind. I probably will eventually switch to that once I start dieting a little bit harder and I kind of feel the just sort of lack of calories hit me a little bit more, where doing legs twice a week, like at least good hard lifts, ends up being a little bit too much to maintain, and then splitting them up into a hamstring day and a quad day makes a little more sense. But no need to do that yet, at least I don't think. So planning going into quads today, which I'm going to start with first. Leg extensions and warm up, right? Before I even record set 1, I kind of bounce around a little bit of a trifecta of just doing a few leg curls, a few leg extensions, a few calf raises, a few adductors where your legs squeeze together just to get everything moving. And then after that, I guess we'll have to see. You know, I definitely want to squat, but I'm not so like boneheaded that if I come in and I start squatting and my knee feels off or my back feels off, I'm just going to squat anyway and hurt myself, right? That's what we in the lifting community refer to as the fool's gambit. You know, I wouldn't recommend it. You know, but if they feel good, then I think slightly lower weight, higher volume might do me good. So what do I mean by that? Instead of, you know, doing a 5-plater for 10, I might back off the weight, maybe do 4 plates for, you know, 15 or something. Rack it so the set won't be like total failure, but instead of just doing one wild one, now maybe do like 4 lighter ones but with more reps. Sometimes I like throwing that in a little bit more for 1, just because it's different. It's a different kind of training than what I normally do. You know, typically I might just do a crazy heavy set, say, oh, that's enough squatting, let's move on to something else. Because a really wild set of squats is going to hit you pretty hard in your whole support system of the squat. So just your back, physically, just like your spine, your glutes a little bit too. And I don't need those things to be stressed out. I'm trying to hit my quads. You know, so lighter sets of squats or Smith squats sometimes does me good, just so I can kind of get more quad work, though inversely less intense quad work. You know, but there's always this kind of gray middle ground area, what I'd probably refer to as the sweet spot that I want to aim for when it comes to these workouts. You know, I obviously want them to be intense, So I want these, most of the sets to be kind of pushing failure. And if your sets are, more intense, just like on a slider, then you're going to do less sets, and kind of still reach that same end state feeling of like, okay, that was a good lift. I'm pumped. I think it's time to go, right? So assuming that that's kind of a feeling we're aiming for, then if the sets that you do are less intense, maybe less weight, maybe less reps, maybe whatever, you leave a few reps in reserve, well, then the logic would be, okay, that set was a little bit less intense. You can do a few more of those in the spirit of reaching that same end goal, right? So it's like, what's a better workout? A dude who did a crazy set of squats, a crazy set of leg press, and then a few sets of extensions. So the volume's down here, but the intensity's way up here. Or the guy who did like 3 sets of a little more chill squats, like still hard, like not like nothing, but a little more chill, a little lighter weight, a little higher reps. So he's doing a little bit more volume, and the intensity's not so wild, but it's still up there, So I'm not exactly sure what the perfect answer is, and nobody is exactly. It's because we got guys going so far as to say that they're really loving well, actually, you know what? I haven't seen anyone recently try to do their own kind of self-experiment with like a Mentor approach and like try to record and document like, okay, I did 2 sets of curls this week. I'm going to do 2 sets of bench next week. Or, I mean, I'm not trying to make light of his routines or anything. I just don't know exactly how they're written out. But I haven't seen anybody really try to push it that far and at least like stick to it for real, and then you kind of have to have evidence, or like some video evidence to prove that you actually did it, but how many sets? I feel like 10 is pretty typical for any given body part. 10 sets I think I see kind of thrown around a lot, but it's like, is that too much? Is that too little? I used to do 25 for a single body part in a lift, and I think that was definitely too much. And just like on that slider, I was doing 25 sets, but I was kind of pyramiding them up a little bit, so the intensity for all of them was probably a little bit lower than, really trying to just get myself amped for a wild set of rope extensions, So it's, I guess all that's to say is I'm under the impression that I kind of always want to be in a alerting state, try different stuff, see what works. And that's kind of a very important part of the analogy, is the see what works part, because I think if you if I wrote out a routine that is very different than what I do right now, like let's say I switched and I said, all right, I'm doing I've been seeing guys split their body up. Instead of upper lower, they're doing they're almost doing front and back. Like I'm seeing workouts where guys will do like a few sets of each body part because they're doing more frequency, so the workouts are a little shorter, but they're hitting a lot in the workouts, so they're doing some presses, some extensions, some even like crunches and leg extensions and things like that, and presses all in one lift, and then splitting. Like I think if I switch to something like that, I think it would still work. I think I could still really bring it and get results. So it's, the answer is not written out. There's no stone tablet out there that has the perfect muscle building split, or has like the 10 commandments of muscle building, where it's like, these are the rules, and if you break these rules, you're gonna blow your pecs off instantly. It's not so strict as that. Right? So I think every so often I need to kind of clarify this. When I'm talking workout tips, I think I do throw in a lot of like basically things that I really believe are pretty much semi-universal truths, right? I think if somebody trained like a total punk and really didn't push themselves at all, they're not going to make any gains. I think we'd agree with that. And I think if somebody never tried to limit their calories, then probably no matter what kind of training they end up doing, if they're eating more food than they're burning, they're not going to get leaner. If anything, they're going to put more weight, maybe muscle, but also fat on. I think we could all probably agree with that. But when it comes down to the, to training, anything beyond like basic kind of frequency and styles and things like that, it's kind of up to your discretion, And I think that's one thing that's nice about having so many different videos and people to watch and listen to, because there's a lot of guys training a lot of different ways. So, if you're kind of curious and you want to change something up, you can find a guy that you like, resonate with his training style and how he describes it, and then say, yeah, shit, that makes sense. But no matter what the training style is, if that situation is like set up well, then at the end of it, I think whoever just got inspired by, watching so-and-so talk about their workout routine and break it down and explain it, then that guy is going to start doing a few things that he might not have been doing before. Right? Working out, being curious about learning about working out. He's going to work out probably a bit more consistently and kind of just maintain these three things, and then the guy's going to make progress. So it's like when somebody looks at the number 9, and I would say that's a number 9 right there, like written on the floor, and then someone across from me looks at me and he says, no, that's a number 6, right? Because for him, from his perspective, it is a 6, it's not a 9, So it's we're making up an argument, you know what I'm saying? So as long as you're getting into the gym and you can at least get behind what you're doing, right, I think that you are certainly on good track. But I think nothing else to say. Let's just get in there and try to freaking blow up the squat rack in a good way. Okay, 12 is the number to beat. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Oh man. Okay, that was good. But I'm feeling a little lightheaded, Jesus. Oh. Yeah, so I kind of threw that light set of squats out the window. Let's move on to something else. Oh. Let's go back and forth. Quad ham, quad ham, quad ham. So a very good start with the squats. Now just kind of bounce around. Alright, nasty leg extensions will be good next. And by nasty, I just mean kind of quick. Alright, I'll definitely come back to this. Out of all the RDLs possible, this is my favorite. 2 individual cables, so I don't have to worry about anything running into my shins. But cables don't go that low, so I gotta get a steppy stool to get a deeper stretch at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna leave this block next to this machine. Well, let's go do some machine leg press next. So this leg press is very manageable. Like, nobody stacks this machine and then anybody looks and says, whoa. But it is heavy enough and controlled enough that if I do some quick reps, well, quick and controlled, I can still get a good burn out of it. Okay. Back to a curl. Heavy lane curls will be good. Okay, too heavy. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, back to leg extensions if they're open. All right, actually, let's camp out here, do a few more sets of hamstring curls to finish, and then lock in on leg extensions and really go nuts. Partially because I think that's a good plan, but also because the leg extension is taken. But certainly not a problem. So let's get a few more of these out. Probably 2 good ones and I could call it. Ooh, yeah, a little lighter. The stack is a bit much right now. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, one more. Okay. Okay. Oh, let's go burn our quads. Let's make these burn. But yeah, just a couple of these with a few sissy squats afterward, and the quads will be pumped. Well, finished. Or no, fully pumped, that's the right word. Because they're pumped, but they're not fully pumped just yet. And this is light. I think a little heavier. All right. One more of those. A little heavy on the leg extension portion, but that'll be perfect. Let's go see how we look. All right, let's get a quick look. The schedule says a Zumba class is coming in here in a few minutes. So I think we'll just do a little pants roll up and see how they're looking. So yeah, certainly cut up. And honestly, overall kind of density, at least for what I'm used to, plus a little bit of separation already. I mean, that's what I'm aiming for here. And the more, or I guess the less fat that I've got between skin and muscle, the fancier all these different kind of just flexes will become. But yeah, I think they're coming. We gotta get out of here. Let's jump in the car and discuss further. Okay, yeah, that was good. But man, legs suffer from a lack of, well, I guess that's kind of an obvious statement. You know, if you're not pounding hundreds of grams of carbs per day, your legs feel it. Because out of, I mean, even being conservative with my estimate, I'd say my overall muscle makeup has got to be damn near 30% legs, including glutes. Maybe even 30, 35 or something. Probably something along those lines. So if you're hitting a full leg day, that means your legs are working. And from as far as I know, you're basically running off of your muscle glycogen, your blood sugar first, before you start using any other forms of energy to, you know, convert into ATP and make your muscles fire and everything else like that. All that's to say is when you're bulked and full of carbs, you're strong and you got some more muscular endurance. And honestly, that muscular endurance part is kind of what really gets me, because it's not like I just halved my strength. I mean, that set of squats first, probably a little bit heavier than necessary for the goal of just dieting and maintaining my size. I gotta think I was gonna hurt myself, but I probably didn't have to do 5. But like the weight itself didn't feel crazy, but it definitely made its way into a fatiguing range rather freaking quickly. So part of me might think, okay, well, if my muscular endurance is a little bit compromised when I'm not eating a crazy amount of food, then should I try to up the intensity and reduce the volume of the lifts, or lower the intensity and maybe just, you know, do the same volume or potentially even a few more lighter squeezing sets, you know? So just kind of a back and forth. But when I'm dieting down, honestly, my main concern is just having good lifts, because there's not really much room for optimization in terms of new growth. You know what I'm saying? You're either building new muscle, holding on to the muscle you've already built, or losing muscle. So assuming you work out consistently, you're probably not going to lose any muscle, even if you're in a steep deficit. At least not like an insane amount. You'd really have to be trying. And maintaining is much easier than gaining, you know? So it's kind of, it's not really a hyping sort of thought for me when I'm dieting down, because, you know, on a lift by lift basis, the pressure is a little bit off, you know? Like the difficulty from bulking now to dieting down and getting leaner is no longer on like the lift itself. You know, I really want to make sure my lifts when I'm bulking up are like as primo as I can get them, just so they induce the most growth that I can, you know, kind of stimulate. And then I go home and, you know, eat a crap ton of food to, you know, be able to facilitate that growth. But dieting down, the hard part isn't the training. I mean, it'll get a little harder as I get leaner and you get a little bit lower energy over time. But right now, the hard part is just limiting calories. You know, that's where the difficulty lies. And as long as you're getting good lifts and you still bring it, I think you're cool. But it's always this gray area, because, you know, I don't need to try to do the craziest sets I've ever done in my life when I'm dieting. And like, nobody really does. But you don't slack either, right? You're still bringing it. So it's, you can't write things off as really black or white, or all the way this and all the way this. There usually is a sweet spot middle ground, you know. But I'm definitely going to get excited the leaner I get, because I might even bust out some tank top lifts this diet, at least when I get a bit leaner. For now, at least, I don't mind being covered up, because honestly, it makes it a little more abrupt when I start getting more and more defined. Because if I'm looking at myself for the entire workout, like let's say I had a real thin stringer or cutoff as I'm doing chest, and every rep I'm like, I mean, if I was doing like either like a shirtless or a like a real thin stringer type chest day, I can almost guarantee in between every set I'd probably do at least like a little bit of a flex in the mirror just to like see how I'm looking, just because I'm, you know, I'm prone to doing that as a lifter, you know. So I try to just not even give myself the distraction of trying to even worry about how I look during the lift, because I've got the lift to do, you know. That's taking priority, right? And that's a good headspace for me. And then it makes me more excited about the you know, finishing the workout, because then it's not just, oh, I'm done with this workout, I can get in the car and chill. It's all right, I'm done with this workout, let's see how good the pump that resulted was. So it's kind of this extra motivator beyond just having a good workout anyway for me, because it's like, okay, I really got to step it up for these next couple sets to make sure I'm fully pumped at the end, you know. So it's just kind of this extra force that kind of, you know, gets me going and makes me excited. And some people, I mean, maybe you don't really care about a pose down. I couldn't imagine why, but I'm sure there's a lot of people where they don't even think about like finishing a chest day and then posing in the mirror, like taking a progress photo or anything. They just want to do it and get out of there. And to that I say, go for it. It's not my pump, right? But no, that was a good one. And then I think tomorrow is almost certainly a rest day. I might, I said a while ago, I still remember this, I said if I ever post a video that doesn't have a workout, then I don't know what I said. I must have said something like, you know, call me a total punk, or call me a poser, or something like that. But on a rest day, apart from the cardio, there is a need for just kind of chilling sometimes. You know, you don't want to overdo it and then like start building up more fatigue than you can recover from. You know, I sound like a certain, you know what, kind of lifter when I say that, but it is legit. You know, especially dieting, your energy in versus energy out, it can't be too drastically different, you know, or else you're gonna set yourself up for failure and burnout rather than long-term gradual success, if you follow me there. But yeah, I think that's all I got for legs. Solid pump, And I'm really excited to start seeing veins. Because when I get, I mean, not even like show ready lean, like even still a month and a half out, or at least, you know, that distance in my last dieting phase, like that around January mark, you know, three-ish months in, yeah, no, the veins were the veins were freaking out. So that's definitely going to be cool for me to see later on. That's my that's what's going to keep me in line. That's what's going to keep me excited. Where every time I think, oh man, I could totally destroy a box of Mike and Ike's right now. Oh well, I want to see quad veins again, like a freaking road map. Right. Well, I need something to keep us in line and on track. And for me, just the desire to get that freak look again. That's more than enough. So, nothing else to say. I'll just see you for whatever tomorrow brings.